Hi, welcome to Quality and Food Safety with Martha, where we get to learn, apply and excel. This is where we break down complex topics of quality and food safety to help emerging and practicing professionals to be the best they can be. Let's get learning.
Quality control and quality assurance. You've probably heard these terms thrown around, maybe even used them interchangeably. But turns out they are totally different ways of getting to the same goal, making really great stuff. So let's dive in and unpack what that actually means.
You know the feeling. We've all been there, right? You get that new gadget you've been so excited about or that piece of furniture and bam, within a week, it's useless. It's so frustrating and you immediately lose trust in that brand. Well, that exact feeling is why we're talking about all this today.
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with the real-world cost when quality goes wrong. Then we'll zoom right in on quality control. After that, we'll pull back a bit to look at quality assurance, and then we'll get the widest view possible with something called total quality management. And at the end, don't worry, we'll connect all the dots.
That frustrating feeling we just talked about? Well, for a business, it's so much more than just a bad review online. This brings us to our first major point, the very real price of poor quality. Because you see, failing to meet your customers' expectations isn't a small thing. It has a huge, expensive impact. You know, when quality takes a nosedive, the fallout is fast and it is harsh. We're talking about customers walking away for good, profits just vanishing, and getting stuck with a warehouse full of stuff you literally can't sell. And that's all before you even get to the direct costs of processing refunds, redoing all that work, and the incredible waste of time and materials. It adds up, and it adds up fast. So how do businesses even begin to fight back against all those costs? Well, that brings us to our first big concept, quality control, or QC for short. Think of this as the hands-on inspection, the final check before a product ever goes out the door. At its very core, quality control is reactive. It's all about the product, the finished item. Its whole job is to find and fix defects that have already happened. QC is like the detective showing up to the crime scene, looking for clues that something went wrong somewhere along the line. Okay, so what does that detective work actually look like on the factory floor? Well, a lot of the time it comes down to a really fundamental tool, the quality control checklist. This is basically the inspector's Bible for what's right and what's wrong. Now, what's really cool is how this breaks down what makes a checklist actually useful. You need super clear product and packaging rules, right? Because a supplier can't meet standards they don't even know exist. You need specific tests and a system for sorting out any defects you find. But this last one, collaboration, that's the secret sauce. It's so often overlooked, but everyone, the supplier, the inspector, everyone, has to be reading from the exact same playbook. Okay, so QC is all about finding defects. But what if you could stop them from ever happening in the first place? Well, that's where we zoom out from looking at the single product to looking at the whole process. And that's quality assurance. Quality assurance, or QA, is proactive. It's process-oriented. So instead of just checking the final thing, QA is about designing a solid system, a whole set of standards and procedures that make sure quality is baked in from the very beginning. Think of it like creating the perfect blueprint for a house before you even start building. The goal here isn't to find defects, it's to prevent them. And this just lays it all out so perfectly. QC reacts to a problem that's already there. QA acts to stop it from ever happening. QC looks at the product, QA looks at the process. QC is about finding defects, QA is about preventing them completely. They're not enemies, they're really just two sides of the same quality coin. Okay, you ready? Let's zoom out one last time. We went from the product to the process, and now we're going to the entire organization. This is the big one, total quality management. See, TQM isn't a department. It's not a set of rules. It's really a business philosophy. It's a strategic way of thinking that says, hey, quality is everybody's job. It weaves the goal of quality into the very fabric, the culture of the company, from the CEO all the way down to the person on the front line. So, the key here is that TQM is a long-term play. It's all about giving every single employee the power to focus on always getting better. A classic example is the Toyota production system, where any worker on the assembly line can literally stop the entire production line if they spot a problem. That right there, that's TQM in action. Quality isn't just an inspector's job at the end, it's everyone's job all the time. All right, let's bring it all home. We've seen how this idea of quality management can grow from a simple checklist all the way up to a complete company-wide culture. This table is really the perfect summary of everything. Quality control, it's reactive, it's focused on the product, and its goal is to find defects. Quality assurance, it's proactive, focused on the process, and its goal is to prevent defects. And then total quality management. It's strategic, focused on the whole organization, with that ultimate goal of just always getting better. Look, if you remember just one thing, make it this. QC is the person who tastes the final cake to make sure it's good. QA is the chef who writes a foolproof recipe so that every single cake comes out right. And TQM, that's the whole kitchen's shared passion for making the best cakes in the entire world every single day. And this isn't just some feel-good idea, not at all. According to McKinsey, putting these kinds of smart quality systems in place can cut the cost of poor quality by up to a jaw-dropping 50%. That is a massive impact on the bottom line. So that kind of leaves us with one final question to think about. It's really easy to focus on fixing problems after they've already happened. But think about your own work, or maybe even your personal life. Where could you apply just a little bit of quality assurance? A better process, a clearer system to stop a problem before it even starts?